Welcome into Primetime Picks on Daily Dodge TV and 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam. Sitting alongside me is Corey Sparks. I'm Charlie Dern. This week we've got our lessons learned, some more Packers props. We've got the fantasy corner, a little wish list ahead of the holiday season,
Yep.
as well as our picks for Week 14 of the NFL. Corey, I'm one game away from being 500 against the spread, but if you want to finish in the black this year, you've got to turn the ship around fast. And normally I do trust your fantasy advice. I swear, I normally do. But you did bring up last week that you cut Tony Pollard, who has 3 straight touchdowns.
Oh, we're just going to say his name right away.
Yeah,
okay,
we're going right into it, yeah. He's got 3 straight touchdowns, 3 straight games with a touchdown, 3 straight games with 60 or more rushing yards, and he's currently the RB13. Why did you cut him?
Yeah, you got to look at, I think it was week 2 until I cut him, so like week 10. And yeah, we look at my record here. I might as well just start flipping a coin, Charlie. Like, you're flirting with 500. Me and 500 are apparently enemies here because we keep getting further and further from each other. Yeah, we'll start with last Thursday. Tony Pollard just kicked off the week. That's the one time I'll name him. And yeah, for a rewind, I bet against Tony Pollard, cut him off my list on here, cut him off my fantasy teams because I was frustrated. Traded him for Gus Edwards, and he has just been one of the best running backs in the game since then. So phenomenal, just great. I'm a very happy human being right now. We'll go to the positives, though. Isaiah Pacheco, anytime touchdown, did hit. I trusted one of the more aggressive, high-usage runners around the end zone. That paid off. Red zone touches continue to reign supreme. But yeah, took a lot of L's last week. The one exception was Isaiah Pacheco, and Tony Pollard, yeah, I guess I'll say his name twice, is right at the top of that list. So we're really looking to get back on the winning train here.
And I think you can. There's still time. There's still time.
Yeah.
It's just got to happen a little quick, you know? That's all.
Operate with a little urgency.
Well, the Niners are the best team in the NFL.
Yep.
I don't think it's particularly close. I had their money line last week, and I should have just taken the points and not had all that juice. I think I took them at like minus 155.
Okay.
And I could have just gone minus 110 with the points. They blew out the Eagles. It wasn't close. That game was a blowout from the beginning. Deebo Samuel had 3 touchdowns. Everybody did their part. Somehow after that game, Brock Purdy is now the MVP favorite. I don't know how you watch that game and take away that Brock Purdy's the best in the league.
I think you take away he still has the best supporting cast in the league. But, yeah, I don't know if we're going to give him sole responsibility for everything that's happened.
It's like people forget that when Trent Williams went down and Deebo went down and I think McCaffrey was banged up. When all that happened, Brock Purdy turned into a shell of himself.
Oh, yeah.
People just forget about that, and then he gets them back, and they're great again, and now he's the MVP favorite. It's really just the best record award. The quarterback on the team with the best record award.
Which right now would be Hurts, and that kind of matches up with what you're saying. Jalen Hurts is the leader in MVP odds right now. Yeah.
The Lions can't stop anybody. That's the other point that I took away.
We'll see.
I
think they might have a chance to stop someone this week. But
that's fair. I actually don't think so.
I'm all right with that.
We'll get into that later on the second half of the show. But the Lions were up like 21-0 on the Saints. I had the Saints +4 in that one. I didn't do that on the show. They lost by 5, so they didn't even cover on a heartbreaker. But, yeah, the Saints just stormed right back. And if Derek Carr's leading a charge against your team, that's a really bad sign for your defense. I don't believe in Derek Carr. I don't believe in the Saints. Now the Saints are 3rd in their division, and they still almost beat the Lions. I don't think the Lions are as primed to make a run as people think they are. And that's kind of where I land, and we'll get to more later on the Lions. And then the Panthers and Jets. I just have written down, what are we doing?
So I hope you're not asking me because I have no clue.
I had one of the best Sundays, like gambling Sundays that I've ever had. And
was it in Iowa or Illinois?
Both.
Drove through both.
But I had 2 outliers. I had the Jets winning outright, so I willingly bet on Tim Boyle to win the game, which was just like, looking back, like that's a horrible decision. But it was with the weather and where the game was, and they're playing the Falcons. It kind of made sense to me.
Yeah.
And then I had the Panthers, and the Panthers are even less fun to watch than the Jets, in my opinion. They are. It's an awful time watching the Panthers play. And then finally, the Texans-Broncos. I had the over in that one, and pretty much as soon as it started, I realized it was going to go under. And it came close. It was like a touchdown away from going over. I needed overtime, so that one was just a bad pick. I didn't like it when I gave it out on the show last week. I didn't like it when it happened. Let's move on to some Packers props talk.
Okay.
So last week, huge win for my Packers over the
team's
Chiefs.
on fire.
Sunday Night Football, like you just said, we're on fire right now. We look great. The coaching actually looks a lot better now, and they're making better decisions. Love is way more comfortable in the pocket, and he's making some great plays. He's really stringing us along. There's some like Jordan Love MVP talk going on.
Yeah, your roommate seems thrilled.
Yeah, right. Yeah. He just went and cleaned during the game instead of watching. Yeah, I don't know what the Love MVP stuff is really about. I think that, I don't know. I guess people just need clicks and all that.
I think he has merit to be in the conversation. I don't think by any means at this point in the season, it's week 14, they're heating up, he'll get it. But, I mean, think about a supporting cast, right? No running backs. They just picked up Kenya Drake and a bunch of young wide receivers. I could see it, if this started a few weeks ago, maybe. But
yeah, right. It's a little late in the year, I think. And I think we'd have to, finish with the division title going, 11 and 6.
Run the table pretty much.
Yeah, and we can with the schedule that we have coming up. Jordan Love went over on his passing total of 230 and a half. He finished with 267 yards. His longest completion went under. We talked about having that as one of our picks. We didn't end up using it, I don't think. Romeo Doubs had 4 catches on 5 targets last week, so his over hit on 3.5 targets. That was a good play. And then I also had A.J. Dillon anytime. Didn't hit. He hasn't scored since week 5 this season, so
I don't hate it though. He had a good day.
Yeah, he had a great game, and we were down at the 1-yard line.
Of course,
they did a passing play to Ben Sims.
That's the epitome of our luck on this show since we've started it.
Right. If you don't we didn't pick Ben Sims. I'm never going to pick Ben Sims to score a touchdown, so I'm okay with that one not hitting. For this week, the Packers are taking on the Giants on Monday Night Football. There's 2 Monday Night Football games.
Oh, yeah.
So that's good because I don't think the Packers-Giants is going to be a great game to watch overall. Not saying the Packers are going to blow them out. We're 6.5-point favorites on the road. The total's 36.5. There's not going to be many points scored in this one. So I think since it's going to be so low scoring and there's not going to be much offense, I think that I'd actually lean towards defensive props. So the ones that I normally go to would be like a middle linebacker over on his tackles. With DeVito in at quarterback for the Giants, Quay Walker's going to feast. Andre Campbell's going to play well. Rashawn Gary might get some sacks. So I normally lean towards getting those involved, and I don't love doing the prop parlays. So I'm nervous overall on this game, betting it from a prop standpoint.
Okay.
But what I think we can do is take another A.J. Dillon touchdown.
Yeah.
He hasn't scored since week 5. So he's very due, and this is a team that it's not going to be big plays against the Giants unless Christian Watson just has the best game of his career. I think we're going to be running the ball a lot. I think it's going to be slow. There's probably not going to be great weather in New York. So I really like the A.J. Dillon anytime touchdown. I see that you like Romeo Doubs to score a touchdown.
Out of anybody, if it's going to go through the air, I'm still going to go with someone who's leading this team in red zone targets. Christian Watson's technically questionable right now. It looks like he will go. He's been limited in practice. But if that happens, I'm hammering Romeo Doubs anytime touchdown. And then Tucker Kraft over 29.5 receiving yards I have my eye on too, just because Luke Musgrave to the IR. And this team showed, even if it's Ben Sims, they're going to utilize the tight end position in some way, shape, or form. So I would actually take the over on that unless the weather ends up being horrible. Then we smack A.J. Dillon anytime touchdown.
I like that. Yeah. I think Tucker Kraft could get that with 3 catches.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Bootleg pass.
Right. And Christian Watson can't stay healthy. That's going to be the story of his career.
Yeah.
The other ones that I was looking at are Jordan Love under 226.5 passing yards.
Okay.
That's and the longest completion under 36.5 passing yards. Those are both along the same lines of what I was saying. It's kind of following the same script. If this game goes way under and it's kind of ugly and boring to watch, I think we're going to be running the ball a lot. I don't think we're going to have a huge play against them. I could see us having one big play against the Giants. I don't think it's going to happen. I think we're going to be lenient on the run, and so will the Giants. So, again, I'm leaning towards the Quay Walker over tackles Rashawn Gary to record 1 sack. That's probably going to be minus 200. So, at that point, you're going to want to go to 2+ touchdowns or 2+ sacks.
Yeah, have a big day.
So, I think I'm going to lean on A.J. Dillon anytime touchdown being the only play because I don't want to really root for tackles. That's kind of degenerate and ugly. So, I'm going to lean A.J. Dillon anytime touchdown. And then I guess we'll get to the actual prop pick later. Moving on to the canceled list. Are there any additions for you this week?
One.
Okay.
kind of three in one. We're going to go the Jets quarterbacks. If you play for the Jets and you're not Aaron Rodgers, which I think there was kind of a under-the-table deal made, pretty much implied, he will come back and play in an NFL game if this team is in playoff contention. Well, that's not going to happen, right? It's pretty much out the window. I like to think the Jets are me playing golf. Like, the driver doesn't work. Okay, fine. We'll go to the 3-wood on hole 2. Oh, that's not working. You know what? I just want to put it in play. I'm going to take like a wedge or a 6-iron or a 9-iron. Oh, I shanked that too. Yeah, let's just go back to the driver. Why not? They just did that with Zach Wilson.
Yep.
They went Zach Wilson. All right, this is clearly not working. Adam Saleh came out and said he is giving us our best chance to win right now, which should have been very alarming from the start. So then you go to Tim Boyle. Yeah, that happened. Then you go to Trevor Siemian, and he arguably looked worse. So this week, the Jets learned why the depth chart is a thing. Not everyone's going to rise up. You're not going to get a Brock Purdy story every time where all of a sudden you dig deep, find someone who barely missed the practice squad and is going to be your answer. Yeah, I'm not messing with any Jets quarterback. I think that was pretty much implied since the beginning, but this is a whole new level of poor. So,
yeah, that's reasonable. They ended up releasing Tim Boyle this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's a dumpster fire. They don't know what they're doing.
It's a disaster. And speaking of disasters, I'm canceling the Carolina Panthers. I can't do it anymore. They pushed last week. It wasn't like I lost.
Right.
But watching them is
bad for your mental health.
Oh, it's so painful. They're terrible. Bryce Young looks bad. Everything about it's bad. They're not fun to watch. They're not fun to root for. I feel bad for Panthers fans. I don't know if they'll win another game this year. I think that game against the Buccaneers was probably their best chance to win another game.
Yeah, interdivision. Look, the Bears have their pick.
Yeah,
so
congrats.
I will gladly watch them.
Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really traded that pick away for Bryce Young, and Caleb Williams is going to be available. Well, moving on to the fantasy corner, I see that you have a bit of a wish list that you're putting together, a little Christmas list, I might say.
Yeah, I would like to ask Santa for some things. I think when you are 6-11-1, you need to start asking for some favors. One of them might be a coin, so I can just flip it and have 50-50 odds the rest of the year. I'd take that. First wish for you, Santa, is better quarterback matchups.
Yeah.
I mean, I have these matchups written down, Charlie, and this might be the most abysmal thing we've had all year. And we've had some pretty good candidates. We've had some thin competition. I'm just going to run through these, and I'll go through some streamers if you have a bye week for somebody. So, Cleveland against Jacksonville. That's going to be Joe Flacco in 2023 against C.J. Beathard. Okay. Carolina and New Orleans. That is going to be Bryce Young and Jameis Winston.
I love Jameis.
I think Jameis, if he wins, I need to see that post-game interview.
Yeah.
That I will watch.
Give him the starting job. Jameis does deserve a starting job, in my mind.
Oh, yeah, I think he's one of those guys. You can't honestly tell me there's 31 out there that are better than him, right? Or
He's
32
better than
out there.
Trubisky, Zappi, Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah, 100%. And
Beathard?
that brings up three of our next four. Minnesota and Las Vegas, Josh Dobbs and Aiden O'Connell. This could go well if these guys play their best ball. Like, we've seen flashes of greatness. O'Connell settling in. Dobbs, with the exclusion of what happened against the Bears, has been a great story. And then tonight, I left the best for last, Charlie. Bailey Zappi and Mitchell Trubisky. If you even think about looking at the props for these guys, what would you say? Call the helpline?
Yeah.
Call the helpline.
Call the number.
That's a serious issue.
That's horrible.
Stay away from this game in its entirety. The over-under's around 30 points. You're saying that's still too high? I mean, this is like Iowa football type of stuff right here, personified in the NFL. What I will say is I do have some streamers. Jake Browning, owned in 20% of leagues against Indianapolis, a secondary that's giving up in the ballpark of 240 passing yards a game. Browning looked good. Yeah. I think he actually came out and balled.
That's fine.
Yeah. A couple screen passes to start with the game script, and he looked more confident. Will Levis against Miami. I am just playing the card that this Tennessee offense is going to have to do a lot of great things if they want to keep up and keep this competitive. And Baker Mayfield, it's a 50-50 split against Atlanta. I don't love this one, but I feel like I'm leaving you to drown if I only give you two streamers. If none of these are on there, I have Desmond Ridder. And that's not good. That is not good. I've been riding Sam Howell all year long. I went with the strategy where I just go with a late quarterback. He's been QB5. And now I'm in a really bad spot. That's how much I don't like Desmond Ridder. I don't even have him on the list for you. I would not wish that upon anybody. So, second thing on the list, terrible. I want the Stars to come back. And this is kind of coming true. We get Justin Jefferson back probably a week before your playoffs, which is awesome. Don't think twice about it unless we hear about a snap count. Dallas Goedert is looking like he'll be back from that forearm injury that took him out for about a month. Kyler Murray's been back, and it looks like he's an effective dual-threat QB, and the Cardinals are randomly winning games. So draft stock does not matter over there. They're just going to go out and try and win as many games as possible. I respect it. especially as a Bears fan. You drop as much as you want in the draft order. But, yeah, Kyler looks great. Last thing, Trevor Lawrence to be healthy. I think everybody kind of held their breath when that happened in prime
I
time.
need him to get healthy.
Yeah, you especially.
Need him.
You've got a lot of Trevor Lawrence futures and Jacksonville futures.
Everything.
Right. So, he had a slow start. I would say it was kind of heating up the last couple weeks, and then he goes down, and Jacksonville decides, we're not even going to get him a cart. We're going to make him limp all the way down to the locker room.
Did you see that he said he declined a cart?
Oh, he did.
He
okay.
said he declined
all right.
it. I don't know why.
Apologies.
He said, like, I declined it, and that was probably a bad decision.
Okay. Well,
Is he
Trevor,
too proud?
I would rather not limp probably what was about all of half a mile to get
Right.
through the tunnel.
Yeah, to the hospital.
Yeah, that's not good. Well, implications. ETN is likely in line for many more touches. We're looking at dump-off passes. Kind of think what we've seen with Browning, right? Dumping it off to Chase Brown or Joe Mixon. Or we get the wide receiver one crutch. I've seen you bring this up before, and I think it's very valid. The problem in Jacksonville is who is it? If Christian Kirk is healthy, it's definitely him. If he isn't, who is it? Yeah. Is it Mr. Inconsistent and Calvin Ridley, who's been better as of late? Is it Evan Ingram, who just caught his first touchdown and has been pretty reliant? Or is it Zay Jones? I don't really know. So kind of a weird situation. Santa, just make Trevor healthy and let it all be simple.
Yeah, let's heal that ankle. Well,
Yeah.
we're going to go to break, and on the other side, we're breaking down Week 14 of the NFL with a couple picks and touchdown scores on Daily Dodge TV and 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam. Welcome back into Primetime Picks on Daily Dodge TV and 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam. We just recapped Week 13 with our lessons learned. We had some fantasy talk. We added some teams to the canceled list. Now it's time for our picks. We've got 2 picks and a touchdown score, and then our collective parlay that I don't know if we'll ever hit it again, to be honest.
Yeah, we had that
It's
one
bad.
one great week.
Yeah,
Feels like it was
awesome.
forever ago.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun.
We should do that again.
Well, I'll lead us off. My first pick is the Bears plus 3.5.
I love it.
I don't know if
Give me hope.
I think I do. Well, so you might be able to get them at 4 by the time this closes, or you might be able to get them at 3. I think 3.5 is perfect because, well, if they lose by a field goal, you still win.
Right.
I think the Bears are live in this game. I think they might be able to take down the Lions. We know that, I think it was 3 weeks ago when they played, the Bears should have won that game.
Yes.
They set a record for the Lions scored the most points in under 4 minutes or something ever. Something
Pitiful.
like that. Only against the Bears could that ever happen.
Of course.
Or I guess the old Lions too. The way the
That's
Lions
just
used to
poetic
always
justice.
be. Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hand off the baton, why don't you,
Yeah.
Detroit?
Exactly. I know that this is potentially a letdown spot for the Bears as they've been playing better and looking better.
Mm-hmm.
And it's potentially a bounce back for Detroit because they haven't been playing well. They've been trending down. They played a close one last week, close one the week before that. I am a little nervous about it, but I still like the Bears. This is Jared Goff playing outdoors. It's going to be about 35 degrees, cloudy with potential rain at Soldier Field. It's kind of like playing against Northwestern, It's a slow atmosphere with weird weather, and I think the Bears just have a chance in this one. It's more of a gut feel than anything, and all the numbers against the spread or whatever you want to look at point to the Lions. But I'm sticking to my gut. I'm sticking to my gut.
Bear down?
Bears can cover, Bear down, Bears plus 3.5, Bears plus 4, Bears outright probably. This could be a really bad clip in the future. That's okay. The Bears are 4-2 against the spread in their last 6 games.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah, they're playing better. The Bears are 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games, played in Week 14. That's the most cherry picked.
How do you even
stat I've
find
ever
that?
found.
What on earth?
5-1 against the spread, last 6, Week 14. I love it. Let's go Bears, bear down.
Goodness.
Our first pick, we're going to the Vikings at the Raiders. The Raiders are plus 3 at home, over under of 40.
All right, well, this team I am now trusting after they gave the Bears fans some hope and apparently you some hope. Bears are only 2 games out of the playoffs. I will just throw that out there because I probably won't be able to say that for the rest of the year. Yeah, I'm taking -3 against Vegas. Should be getting the best receiver in the game back in Justin Jefferson. I'd like to think that has a factor for sure. Had a whole bye week to reflect on whatever happened against Chicago. I still don't really know. I didn't believe what was happening in front of my eyes. And I would like to think we won't see Mr. Rocket Scientist throw 4 missiles into the hands of defenders again. So we'll see. I think Josh Dobbs has had a lot of film to look at, and it helps getting your best receiver back.
That's fair. I like that one. Especially where the Raiders just seem like they're about to roll over.
I have a hard time believing in that team. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. My second pick is Dolphins, first half -7. The Dolphins in this game are 13-point favorites for the full game, and the over-under is 46.5. So a lot of points is what's getting looked at. This is the other Monday Night Football game besides Packers-Giants. I'm just taking the Dolphins in the first half, -7 here. I'll admit I'm a little afraid of the full number. 13's a lot of points. I know the Dolphins are at home. I can see this being where the Dolphins blow them out, and it's ugly, but Mike Vrabel, his teams don't really give up on him. So
That's true.
I think they'll be okay. Miami is, in the first half this year, in home games, they're the second highest team in points per game with 20.8. So I think they're going to be able to come out firing, especially in primetime. Tyreek Hill should be the MVP favorite in my mind. I know they'll never give it to a non-quarterback. Against the spread in the first half this season, Miami's 500, so 6-6 so far. But in their last 15 games, they're 11-4 against the spread. That's full game, not first half, but 7 points. I think that I'll at least be able to push with them getting to 7. They're going to miss an extra point and win the first half by 6 is how it's going to go. I can already see it. And Tennessee hasn't covered in 5 straight road games. I'm telling you, it'll happen. It'll happen.
That's horrible.
It'll happen. Your second pick, it's the Seahawks at the Niners. The Niners are 10.5-point favorites in that one with an over-under of 47.
Why did I do this? Screw it. Okay. Well, Seattle's 4-2 against the spread on the road. They've played a lot of close ball games. Could very easily see this being like a 40-3 ball game. Full transparency, this could age very poorly. San Fran did just blow out the Eagles and Jalen Hurts. We've got the riding high morale going on right now. This is another divisional game. Yes, it is. Actually, is this in San Fran? I should have.
It is.
Okay.
Yes.
Yikes. Yeah, we're going to stick with this. All right. Well, in another divisional game, I think knowledge of one another can kind of cancel out. We've seen some ugly ball games before. We've seen the Cardinals give teams some fights, so I really would not count anybody out in this division. And the Seahawks kind of fighting for their playoff lives right now, so I think they keep it close. I don't think they win it, but 10.5 is a big number.
I can see them keeping it close. That's what they did against Dallas last week on a short week.
Right.
I think they can do it against the Niners. Of course, it's not fun betting against the Niners when they're rolling like they are, but it is what it is. For my touchdown pick, I've got Lamar Jackson to score a touchdown. That has to come from the ground. It's not a passing touchdown.
Right.
In this game, it's the Rams at the Ravens. In Baltimore on Sunday, it's looking like it's going to be a terrible weather day, 20-mile-an-hour winds, sustained winds, and it's going to be raining. So I think that they're going to be running the ball a lot. The Ravens already have the best running game in the NFL, touchdowns and yardage-wise, and the Rams are middle-of-the-pack rush defense. So I could see the Ravens really moving the ball on them, especially when the passing game's going to kind of get taken away. For your touchdown scorer, we're moving on to the Sunday Night Football game between the Eagles and the Cowboys. The Cowboys are 3.5-point favorites with an over-under of 52 points.
I know somebody else is going to score a touchdown because I'm not picking him. I'm going to go with Jake Ferguson. High-scoring game. Philly's secondary has been pitiful. They allow the second most amount of passing touchdowns in the league right now, 27 to be exact, so nearly 2 a game. Enter Jake Ferguson. Still leads all tight ends by 7 in red zone targets. He has 22 right now, also almost 2 a game. I think there's just too many things in favor here. This could be a very high-scoring contest, and I think he gets pretty involved.
Jake Ferguson, former Badger.
Yeah.
Wisconsin Badger, Jake Ferguson, yeah. For our parlay, so we'll go one pick each and then a Packers prop that we'll agree on. My pick for this is Justin Herbert over 1.5 touchdown passes. He's only done this once, or he's only thrown 1 touchdown in his last 2 games. I think he's kind of due to have a better game. And he's only thrown 2 or more touchdowns 6 games this year, so less than half, which is kind of surprising for a team that, when you think of the Chargers, you just think of offense.
100%.
And they haven't really had much success this year, and so I really like Justin Herbert to kind of bounce back here. I see that you're looking at a Jahmyr Gibbs under.
I don't think I've taken an under prop all year. I'm horrified of them. You told me usually the line's a little more favorable because voting against human achievement. I'm going to vote against human achievement here, but I've got some things to back it up. So I've got Jahmyr Gibbs under 40.5 yards on the ground. I know he's been super efficient, arguably the better back in certain circumstances. The Bears do allow 3.4 yards per attempt. That's the second lowest in the league. The forecast, again, we talked about 35 degrees, cloudy, could get a little rain in there. I see the Lions going with their harder hitting back in Monty, and it's kind of another revenge game. So that's where I'm going to go with that.
So we've got Jahmyr Gibbs under 40.5 rushing yards, Justin Herbert over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Now we have our Packers prop we have to agree on.
This is usually where we flub it.
Yeah.
The group, the one where we have to come together and really think of one all-encompassing prop.
So I've got A.J. Dillon as my pick for what I think we could do to add some juice to that. You've got the Dobbs anytime touchdown, and then Tucker Kraft over 29.5 receiving yards. I will say I do like the Tucker Kraft.
I think it's between Kraft and Dillon. If Watson is out, maybe that. What do we think, Kraft or Dillon?
Since it's a Monday night game in New York, I could kind of see Dillon scoring.
Okay.
And I'm worried about Kraft just in the sense that we're going to be running the ball a lot, is my thinking.
Right.
But that could be completely wrong. We obviously don't know.
Let's go Dillon.
Okay. All right. So we'll go A.J. Dillon here. We got to turn it around. We're like 1-8 on these parlays. We
So
stopped
bad.
updating the record on our sheet.
Yeah, I don't blame us for that.
So for our parlay, we've got Jahmyr Gibbs under 40.5 rushing yards, Justin Herbert over 1.5 passing touchdowns, and A.J. Dillon to score a touchdown. That's going to do it for this week's edition of Primetime Picks on Daily Dodge TV and 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam. Thanks as always for joining us, and good luck this week on Week 14 of the NFL.